Welcome back to the weekly analysis on Maven charts. Starting with SPY. This week SPY closed green on all 5 trading sessions. On Monday, after breaking out of this trendline resistance, started printing back-to-back green candles, creating all-time high, and closed around this resistance of 23.6% pip extension from the swing low to swing high, breaking above this 711. Next resistance we have at 721.5, followed by around 729.5. Price is little far away from 20 EMA on daily time frame, so it may either pull back to test any of these support levels, this previous resistance breakout, or these fair value gap levels, or it may just consolidate between these two ranges, 695 and 711, for the EMS to catch up. Looking at the weekly time frame, on the weekly time frame, SPY printed a massive green candle of $30.68 move, which is 4.52%. Looking back to the daily time frame, the RSI is above 70% and price strongly broke out of this resistance. So unless if it forms any bearish candlestick pattern like evening star or bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, price may just consolidate and keep melting up as we saw in the hourly time frame. On the hourly time frame on Wednesday, April 8th, when it gapped up 2.25%, breaking those resistances, then closing RSI about 70%, then it just keep melting above, taking support from these EMAs 5, 9 and 20. If price action behaves the same manner in daily time frame, then we may see and price may go and test 729, 736 level. Between these two, the extension level of 50 and 61.8%. Currently price is at the resistance of 23.6% fib extension from this swing low to swing high. If it breaks above, then it will test 721 followed by 729. If it sees rejection from here with any bearish candlestick pattern, then price will come and test this 696 support level, which was previous resistance and previous swing high, or even this fair value gap. By the time the 20 EMA may catch up. Microsoft, as we analyzed on Monday's SPY intraday price action recap, Microsoft printed this bullish engulfing candle on Monday, taking support from this inverse fair value gap, on which it was taking support multiple times in the previous trading sessions. Then Microsoft just moved from 384.37 to 422 in 4 trading sessions, which is around 9% move. Price is currently sitting at this previous swing high resistance as well as this trendline resistance, 200 gravestone doji candle. This level is a critical resistance because it aligns with the previous swing high, as well as this trend line resistance, and around 61.8% retracement between this high and low. Also, if I look at the weekly time frame, price is retesting this trendline breakout as well as 20 EMA and weekly time frame, whereas we saw a strong green candle printed with a huge volume, invalidating this fair value gap as well as taking out this minor swing high. So if price pulls back because of this resistance, it may see support in this area between 395 and 387, which is now the inverse fair value gap on the weekly time frame. This level may act as a support in the coming sessions if it pulls back. On the weekly time frame, earlier price collected liquidity below 200 SMA and took support from this swing low on the larger time frame and printed a strong bullish candle of 14% and tested this fair value gap as well as this resistance and slightly closed above 20 EMA on weekly time frame. Moving back to the daily time frame, as we already mentioned, price is at this critical resistance level and we have earnings on 29th April. So if it breaks above this resistance, then we have this inverse fair value gap followed by this major resistance at 472.5. If it pulls back because of this resistance, we have support at 412 followed by this inverse fair value gap which we marked on weekly time frame between 387 and 395. So last week Microsoft saw an impulsive move to test this resistance, breaking out these two lower highs. So any pullback may help to form a higher low to eventually break out this trend as well as this resistances. Looking at Nvidia, as we discussed in the last weekly analysis, after taking support from this 164 level and closing back into this trend line, Nvidia collected the liquidity below this support levels and moved strongly back to break out this trend line resistance. Now price is at this resistance level. If it pulls back, we have support at 192.5, this fair value gap followed by 20 EMA. On the next resistance, we have at this all-time high of 212. So Nvidia also into the RSI 70 level. So if it closes above this resistance, then we may melt up to test this all-time high of 212. Looking at the weekly time frame, like SPY, Nvidia printed a green candle of 6.9%, invalidating this right shoulder of this head and shoulder pattern. And we have a fair value gap on the weekly time frame between 177.5 and 185.5. But we have a strong support around 193. Price may come and retest liquidity below the support level and retesting this trend line breakout to move higher again. So far now we have this pattern breakout, descending triangle pattern breakout. So sign of bullish trend continuation. Also we have this 20 EMA crossover, 200 SMA on the daily time frame. So any pullback may form a higher low for this uptrend. Looking at Apple. So Apple also, as we discussed on Wednesday's SPY intraday price action recap, and Thursday it pulled back to test this support and open gapped up on Friday to test this fair value gap and closed within that fair value gap. Now we have this double bottom pattern set up on Apple and sitting at this resistance level, taking support from 200 SMA on daily time frame. Apple may go and break this trendline resistance to collect liquidity above this swing high of 280. If it pulls back from this resistance, then Apple may form a handle for this cup and holder pattern to eventually break out this trendline resistance as well as these resistances of 275 and 280. We have support at 262 followed by 20 EMA and 200 SMA. Resistance we are currently at the trendline resistance, and we have overhead resistance around 275.5 followed by 280 and this all-time high of 288.5. Price also forming this descending triangle pattern on daily time frame for Apple. On the weekly time frame, Apple printed a back-to-back green candle, taking support from this previous resistance breakout. And Apple also has earnings on month end. Oracle, as we discussed on SPY's intraday price action recap on Monday, along with Microsoft, Oracle broke out of this descending triangle pattern after collecting liquidity below this support level of 138, forming a Morningstar pattern closing about 20 EMA, led the price to move from 155.62 to 184.5, the high of Friday session. For Oracle, we can see a rejection at RSI 70 by printing a bearish engulfing candlestick at this major resistance level. So we may see a pullback to test either this support at 165.5 or even this gap or 20 EMA between 165 and 162. And if we see any bullish candlestick pattern setup, then Oracle may form higher low here to eventually test this resistance of 207 followed by 220, this resistance. On the weekly time frame, Oracle took support from 200 SMA and printed a strong bullish candle of 26.77% move, closing above 20 EMA and weekly time frame to test this resistance, which was a previous support. So any pullback may be supported by this level of 165 and 156, which is around the 20 EMA level on the daily time frame. If it breaks above this resistance of 177.8, then we have resistance at 188 followed by 205. Looking at Walmart. Walmart is trading on this uptrend. Currently it is trading within this bull flag pattern and took support from 20 EMA on Friday, funding a bullish engulfing candle, closing above this fair value gap. The possibilities are there for Walmart to break this resistance of 128.5 and test 134.5, this resistance. Now looking at the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, Walmart has been consolidating between 128.5 and 122 for quite some weeks now. It also took liquidity below this support level of 122.75 and 20 EMA. Either it just consolidate between these two ranges till earnings or break out of this bull flag to test 135, eventually form a new higher high. Looks like a small cup and handle pattern on lower time frame. Which invalidated this fair value gap and took support from 20 EMA to front this bullish engulfing candle. Looking at Open Door Technologies. Open Door Technologies trading within this descending triangle pattern setup for more than 6 months. Now it took support from this support level twice. Last time it printed a Morningstar candlestick pattern and this time it printed a hammer candle, small hammer candle, which had strong move to test 200 SMA on daily time frame, creating fair value gaps. If you look at the weekly time frame, it printed a bullish engulfing candle, collecting liquidity below the previous engulfing candle setup, taking support from this previous resistance breakout, testing the 20 EMA on weekly time frame. So if it closes above this fair value gap on weekly time frame, then Open Door Technology may go and test 10.6, this resistance. Breaks below the support of 4.25, and we have this fair value gap as well as this fair value gap to test on the weekly time frame. But if you look at the monthly time frame, price is taking support from 20 EMA monthly time frame as well as this previous resistance, which is acting as a support now. So for the monthly candle looks good. If this monthly candle closes at or above 5.5, then it will be a bullish engulfing candle taking support from 20 EMA for Open Door Technologies on the monthly time frame. It will be a good drop base setup for Open Door Technologies to test this resistance at 10.9 followed by 13.5 in the upcoming months. Looking at gold. As we discussed in one of our earlier weekly analysis video, after rejecting from this lower time frame fair value gap, gold dropped hard to test 200 SMA on daily time frame, as well as testing this support levels to retrace back. Earlier it saw rejection from this fair value gap, then took support from this daily time frame fair value gap and closed above it. Now it is seeing rejection from this fair value gap level as well as this trend line resistance level. Let's keep rejecting, but price closed above 20 EMA and we can see the 9 and 5 UMAs are crossed above 20 EMA. possibilities are there for gold to break this fair value gap and test this trendline resistance, eventually to test this resistance as well as this all-time high. So price has to first break this fair value gap for that to happen. For now, this previous support as well as this fair value gap and this trendline rejection are acting as a strong resistance on the daily time frame. But looking at the weekly, on a weekly basis, after forming this morning star pattern around 20 EMA, taking support from this previous resistance breakout, for last 3 weeks, gold printed back-to-back green candles, currently sitting at this resistance level. We can also notice that it took support from 20 EMA on weekly time frame for last 2 weeks. Either if we gap up above this fair value gap on daily time frame, or if we strike through it, then gold may go and test this 5600 level again. Thank you so much for watching.